Welcome back to the Seeking Success podcast, powered by StockPick, the #1 podcast in the world, where we have guests from a variety of genres, anywhere from sports to athletes and everything in between. Today we have a very special guest, Tanner Chidester, who has built a $50 million+ business before the age of 30 with elite CEOs, an author of Infinity Income, which was an Amazon top seller in the first week. He's been featured on Forbes, CNBC, International Business Insider, 6 News Richmond, and Funnel Hacking. Tanner, thank you so much for giving us the time today. Let's hear a brief intro on you, man. Let's hear your story.
Oh man, brief intro. I don't know how brief it is. Yeah, so I mean, family is 7 kids. Dad was a teacher. Mom was stay at home. I was raised LDS or Mormon, more commonly known as Mormon. If you guys kind of are familiar with that religion.
Okay.
Young age, just kind of a weird dude. Had 2 older sisters, dress ups, tea parties. I was into it. Unfortunately, my dad did not save me. He just let me do it. So around about 6th grade, I started getting made fun of quite severely, I think, to the point where I realized, hey, I need to do something about this, or my school experience won't be very fun. So I started going to the gym. My mom would drop me off at school about not school, but the gym, 5:30 in the morning. I'd train.
Wow.
Then she'd pick me up and take me to first period. Then I'd do gym, and then I'd shower. And 3 months of that, I remember just getting bigger. People started, wow, you look jacked. I'm around 12-year-olds, so, if you do anything, you look jacked.
Yeah.
And I started really excelling in sports, and then from about 12 to 22, that was my entire life. All I wanted to do was play in the NFL, and took that as far as I could go. I got to play a little bit, the Division I level. I got hurt a million times, and I don't think I was good enough. I played with multiple first-round draft picks, and they're just different. They're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. It's just when you see them, it's insane. And then that's when I met a mentor of mine named David Fry, and he's from the ClickFunnels world. He's actually married to one of Russell Brunson's cousins, and he convinced me, hey, school's not that great, drop out, I'll show you how to make more money. I was scared shitless, but I did it, and my family was not very supportive. My girlfriend at the time, part of the reason she broke up with me is because of that. Her mom was not supportive. Did it anyways, and first 2 years, I basically proved them all right, didn't make any money. And then 25, finally pieced some things together, built an online fitness company that did $1 million in a year. And then the next year, added on personal trainers, did 10 million. Next year, we did 15 doing kind of general business. And now we are today where we've done over about 50 million in 4.5 years, and pretty wild journey. But that's kind of
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome, dude. I remember when I was reading about you on your website, it said in your first 2 years of online marketing, you made like $2,000, and it's crazy how for so many people that would have been the quitting point, but for you realize, hey, it might look like small money, but this is opportunity. Because I had the same realization when I made my first couple $100s online. I'm like, wait, time out. You can make money on the internet, and then I lit a fire underneath my ass. Talk about that for you, because again, where a lot of people would have seen, dude, you're literally an engineer. Why are you bothering with this online personal trainer BS? Talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, the first reason was my mentor just looked at me and said, $100,000 is not that much money. And I was like, oh shit. Well, I guess you're right. But I said, I didn't know what else to do. I said, that's the highest 4-year degree I can do. And he said, well, have you ever thought about starting a business? I said, no. No one in my family has ever done a business, ever. I don't think if you went back hundreds of generations, I don't even know if someone did a business then. Wow. And he started showing me about funnels and, emails and automations and stuff like that. And I'd be lying if I said in the first 2 years, I almost quit about 5 times because, when you say 2 years on a podcast, it's like, oh, yeah, whatever, 2 years is not that long. But when you're living the 2 years and you're barely scraping by and you have a shitty car and people are laughing at you, it just makes everything feel that much longer. Yes. And I just remember calling him probably 5 times over 2 years. It was probably, I'd say, every 5-6 months. Yeah. And I would tell him, man, this isn't working. I've been doing this. I'm doing door to door. I'm serving. My place sucks. My car's shit. All my friends are making more money than me. And he would just listen, and he's like, Tanner, I'm telling you, don't quit. I know you can do it. I know that sounds cliche. I just, everything you've done in your life is leading you to this moment. Don't quit. And after 2 years of grinding, it really did. And that's what was so ironic, because once I started actually making all that money, it was because of the 2 years prior I'd put in without realizing that was the real school I went to. Yeah. So the School of Hard Knocks, where I did door-to-door sales, and I was the server, and I was sitting in his office building out a product. And the product didn't make money, but learning how to build out an entire product and set up all the automations and Stripe and all those things. You know, it was a PhD, and I can't thank him enough for it, because if he hadn't shown me that, I just don't think I'd be an engineer, and I probably would have made, you know, $49.6 million less than what I'd made now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tanner, I wanted to ask you a question. So it sounds like you found this mentor while you were still in university?
No, so I met him through actually my dad. And they actually went to the same church, and he is married to one of Russell Brunson's cousins. So he knew about ClickFunnels World. And so that's actually how I met him, was through my dad in church. But I lucked out that he was from that world and he knew about it. Yeah.
Sorry, at what point did you it felt like a mentor-mentee relationship for you? Like, was it early on in your career, or?
No, so it's when he offered. So I knew about him for years, but I didn't really know what he did. And again, him and my dad are very religious, so the real reason he came to me and said, hey, look, if you come back to church, because I wasn't really active at the time, he said, if you come back to church, I'll show you this business stuff. And I promised him I would do, and I do feel guilty to this day, because I did it for a little bit, and then I kind of, fell off, and I kept going to the house. But that was how it started, and then I just stuck with it, and it took off from there. So that's why he actually offered, lucky for me, lucky for me he did.
That is so dope.
Yeah, so I guess some questions that we have for you, man. Because, I think a lot of people, and it's so funny, a lot of the content that you've been making, a lot of the comments will just be like, I literally just saw this guy's ad. And, like, dude, even myself, like, after just visiting your IG once, I think you actually messaged me, and just I guess being within your social proximity, you just get ads. So I know everyone's curious, man. How much a day are you spending on ads, if you can share?
Yeah, no, you're good. So we actually don't spend as much as we used to. We were spending as much as $500,000 a month. So I guess I don't know what the math is on that, but probably 15,000, 20,000 a day, give or take.
Wow,
we're spending a lot less now, but I think most of the reason is just and this is my opinion, is when my company was taking off, that's right when COVID was happening. And so when that happened, there was a huge surge to online. So just think of it as like this pinnacle where it was both happening at the same time. Yeah. So we were just running through the ads, and then once COVID stopped, we could still do it, but it was just less profitable. And so we're now back in a normal range. So now we spend, between, like, I'd say 200,000 to 300,000 a month. So still quite a bit. But I got to the point too where, once your business gets to a certain size, you have a big team. If you keep making money, but you're not profitable, you're just creating more work for no reason. So that was also backed it down. But yeah, Pinnacle peak, about 500. And now we're about 200 to 300 a month, depending. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's pretty cool, man. And I guess like a follow-up question, because we all know you've been in this space for a while now, and I'm sure we all know this, right? Like with digital products, you have to be refining it, you have to be switching things up. What are the current things, or what are the current offers that you are selling a part of your business at the moment?
Yeah, so we have the kind of main hub that's Elite CEOs, so that's kind of where most of the awards have come from, and that's the revenue that I basically talk about. Now we basically have these divisions where it's essentially just stuff our clients ask for. And so we have a division called Elite Closers, which is a done-for-you sales training and placement company. That's been really great. I actually think that'll be bigger, which is pretty exciting. Easier sell, harder fulfillment, obviously. We have another division called Elite 360, which is actually a white label version of Go High Level, but we put all the coaching aspects in it. So our own support, coaching funnels and templates and stuff. And that's actually been amazing because all our clients use it, and we're making a ton of recurring revenue, and they love it because we give all this extra support Go High Level doesn't. But that's actually been like a really sweet find, because otherwise, making your own software and all that stuff, you can do it. It's just a lot more work. And then finally, we have a division called Elite Ads, which is just our ad agency, so running ads for our clients. And most of this started with our clients, and then we're trying to grow it as well. And then obviously we have some portfolio companies and partnerships that feed into that. So those are kind of like all the ways we're making money at the moment.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like you have like a nice hierarchy of things going on. And it's interesting. So you do think that the closing company, the sales company, is going to outperform everything in the near future, or is that more of a long-term play?
I do. No, I think by next year. And the reason is because just the ROI in terms of the ads. So there's kind of two phases. The one is sales reps. And so what I can tell you guys from experience is any offer that you can run that is make X amount of money without owning a business, whatever that is, make X amount of money without owning a business, whether it's like be a sales rep or Amazon FBA or whatever. Those offers will always do better because there's way more people who want to do that than be business owners. So my business owner leads will cost me $25, $30. those leads will cost us $5 or less. So just infinitely cheaper. And then on the other side, for business owners, it's an easier sell because it's, hey, we'll train and place your team, guarantee this, guarantee that. So the fulfillment is obviously much harder, but the sell is infinitely easier because, anything that attracts people to being lazy, people are all about being lazy.
Oh,
and so
yeah,
any
for
offer
sure.
you can sell where it's like, hey, you can be super lazy, super lazy, super lazy, they'll take it all day and you'll make more money. So I think it will surpass. It's going to be harder fulfillment wise, but in terms of the marketing, right now we're 10x every month on the spend. It's insane. So it's just super
Wow.
So dope.
Yeah.
That is so dope. Even the framework you're working at, man, it's like everything from like the first gym personal training course you started to like the fitness CEOs to then like the elite CEO. It's like you create a product, then you see there's a demand for something, then create that, then there's a demand for something, and that's literally the domino effect you've been going on, which is like, it's so interesting to see.
Yeah, and it wasn't, I didn't plan it. In hindsight, maybe if I knew what I knew now, I would have done something different. But what would happen is I would peak out with the ads where the profitability would start to go down.
Yeah.
And then it was easier at the time for me to switch than to go back and, hey, let me build out these low ticket offers and these ascension funnels and all these things, because I was still basically COO. And so in hindsight, maybe that's what I would have done different. But that just basically stacked on, and then the trainer thing blew up, and then more people asked. It definitely was not planned. I actually hated business coaches. Like, I hated them. And so it's ironic I became one, but one was there. I was 25, 26, and I just saw these big dollar signs. And so truthfully, that's what I got into it, because, I was financially motivated. And so now it's obviously shifted a little bit, and I genuinely do enjoy it, like helping people. But when you're 26 and broke, 25 and broke, you just see dollar signs and you just follow. So
For sure. What really pushes you now, Tanner? Like, what's driving your motivation today?
Yeah, so I went through. It's funny. I went through this time where I said I was very depressed. I don't know if I really believe in depression anymore. Not because I don't think it's real, but because I think by saying that you kind of give power to it. And I genuinely kind of feel the more you don't do that, actually, the better. So I guess I went through a sad time where I was making a bunch of money. And it was funny. I moved to Miami. I had a $6 million penthouse I was living in. I had a $550,000 Lamborghini, and like I was talking to all these beautiful girls, and I just really stayed there. I was like, man, I'm like super fucking miserable.
Yeah.
And I think it was because, I set that goal of $1 million a month, and then I hit it, and then I didn't feel any different. So I started, you start asking these questions like, what's the meaning of life? What does it matter? You start realizing you're just kind of this small peon. Where $1 million a month is a lot for most 89% of people, but then when you get to like the elite levels, you realize it just gets higher and higher and higher, and then there's guys who just look at you like, well, man, like your business does $1 million a month, like my business does $1 million a day, stuff like that. And so I started really kind of looking at the meaning of life, and I think for me personally, the conclusion I came to was it really is about the personal growth, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoy working. And I came to a lot of those realizations having conversations with Alex Ramosi, and he's become a good friend of mine. And he just said something to the effect of, Tanner, why does everything have to have meaning to it? Because I was really looking for, well, what's the meaning of this, and why do I need, what's the meaning of work? And he just said, hey, bro, like it's all up to you, but I think if you can just enjoy it because you do, and it doesn't have to have like this higher significance or meaning, I think that's a better way to look at it. I felt a lot less stress in my life when I took that approach personally. Than before. And so for me, it's just more personal growth and like pushing myself to be the best I can be. Not because I think at the end of the rainbow there's this prize, but it's just what I find enjoyable and what gives me kind of purpose in me, and just being the best I can be. And I've just always been that way. My dad just made us that way, and I just don't know any other way to live. I just don't want to look back on my life and feel I could have been more, I could have done more, I could have, helped more people. I just think living less than to your potential is just a weight, and that's where regret comes from. And so for me, I just want to live life to the maximum. So when I look back, you can go, man, I lived a dope life and I did the best I could do. Yeah. And no one's gonna remember you or me, but it doesn't matter. It's not for them. It's for me.
For sure.
No, that's dope, man. Because like another thing is like you mentioned moving to Miami, and Andrew Tate says Miami's a city where there's no God, right? It's like an absolute like.
Truth to that.
It's crazy, right? And I've never been to Miami. Umar says he wants to move to Miami next year, and Umar's married, and he's like, Radies, come move to Miami with me. I'm single, and like, I like to have fun, okay? So if I go to Miami, it'd be a problem. But speaking of Miami, one thing I saw, and you mentioned this as well, you had a super nice apartment, you had a Lambo, but you sold your Lambo. So why did you sell your Lambo?
I was moving to Puerto Rico to save money, but the irony is I moved to Puerto Rico to save money, and the Lambo went up to $1 million in value. So I basically lost money by not staying in Miami and just having the Lambo. And so I would tell people that it's actually a loser mindset to do that, because what you're doing is you're moving somewhere else to pay less tax, which is actually a way worse mindset than just staying where you're at and making more. And so I'm actually glad I went to have the experience, but it's ironic that I went there was a bunch of red tape. They didn't tell you, essentially all the money you save, they want you to buy property in Puerto Rico, and there's ways to get around it, but it's technically illegal, and it's kind of gray area. And then what ended up happening is all the money I would have made by just keeping my Lambo, I lost. So it was just stupid all the way around, but that's why I sold it, because if you go to Puerto Rico, your Lambo would get destroyed. It's just not a place for that type of car. The roads are really beat up, and they've got holes everywhere, and the car is so low to the ground. I mean, you got about 5 inches of space. So that was really the reason. It was just more because I was moving. That was the big reason. Yeah.
So, Tanner, I want to ask this later in the podcast, but I mean, since we already talked about it briefly, I just want to ask this now. So I did see a video on your YouTube channel where you're talking about the suicide, and that one really resonated to me because, again, I've never achieved success like you yet, but in my earlier success, right, during the mass crypto run, I had a similar moment where, and my biggest goal in life was, hitting 10, 15 grand a month, working from home. That'd be the end-all, be-all, and I surely surpassed that. And when I was in that moment, and I was engaged to my wife at the time. Oh, I'm married to her now, but I was engaged to her. She's my fiance. I'm making this stupid money before even getting out of bed. I got one of my dream cars, but something inside me is damn, life really sucks, right? And I don't want to say I was at the point I wanted to kill myself, but I'd be lying if I said there wasn't days where I've thought about it, right? Yeah. And then when I saw you saying that, I'm like, damn, because you said this happened to you in 2021. The year after you've already broke $50 million in revenue, which is every guy's dream. Everybody in the entrepreneur space wants to hit that goals like that. Talk about that. You've at this point almost achieved everything. Yet you were having these darker thoughts. I know you don't want to dread on that too much, but I feel it'd be beneficial to a listener.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is obviously when you're going through it, it always feels way worse than it is. Mm-hmm. You know, on the hindsight in the future, when you look back, you'll feel, at least me, I feel shameful or embarrassed that I would let myself get to that point. Mm-hmm. Because when other people are in that situation, you're like, why didn't they say something? Why didn't they speak up? But I think for me, it was a mixture of, I was going through that period of my life where I just didn't feel like I was shit. Because the thing is, you look at Mark Zuckerberg, or you look at Elon Musk, or, Alex again, I bring him up a lot just because I have a lot of talks with him, and he's been very influential on me. But, he talked about, you see these pyramids, and here lies whoever, and we don't even know who these guys are. And these guys are way more powerful, way more rich than probably anyone in current day. And so you start to realize that, man, what I'm doing doesn't, it matters, but it doesn't, right? What we eat and what we wear and what we're doing and the jobs, it's almost kind of insignificant where no one's going to remember us. And so I was dealing with that, and then at the same time, I was going through kind of a pretty bad breakup with my girlfriend. We've been on and off, and it was just hard because, when you lose someone who you feel is the only person who has your back, and then they leave you, and they have these negative things they're saying about you, or, they feel that you did them wrong, stuff like that. It was just kind of all in one pot, and then I wasn't working a ton because the business was at such a high level, so you have all this extra time to sit in your thoughts, which is I would never really recommend that. That's just not for me. So it just kind of all accumulated to that point, and then I kind of let it simmer over the edge, and honestly, the only reason it probably didn't happen was because I have family, and my family counts on me, and I knew that if I had done that, it would put my family in a very bad position, especially my brothers, who basically gave up school and what they were doing to come work for me. So I'm glad that part happened, but it was just a hard time for me in my life, and it's ironic because that's actually when I started talking to Alex more. He'd actually tried to reach out to me 2 years before, and I was like, man, F this guy. He's trying to sell me something. Which is ironic now, but he just wanted to be friends, and he just was saying a lot of stuff to me at the time that really helped me through it, and he didn't really, I don't think he knew that I was going through that, but I think he previously had gone through that the year before when he had started exiting Gym Launch, and so he was sharing all these same thoughts and feelings. And I was like, wow, like this guy gets it. Like this guy's my age. Like he understands me. He has a lot of money, because I would talk to people in their 50s and 60s, and it's not to take away from it. But as humans, we always say stuff like, oh, you're just old. Or someone says money doesn't matter. You're like, yeah, you're just poor. When Alex says it, and it, you know, it's like anything, a billionaire says something, etc. Like it just carries that extra weight.
Yeah.
Where you know, okay, this guy is above me, or he's ahead of me, or he's been there and he understands. And so I think that really helped me through it, because he was just saying a lot of things that I could tell he had thought through it too. And I know some people may, you know, agree or disagree, but those thoughts have been a lot more helpful for me. I think a lot of the same things that he does, and I think in a similar fashion. And so a lot of the things he said really resonate with me, and it kind of helped me through that time, because the way I was raised and I grew up, and I love my parents. My dad is probably one of the most pivotal people in my life for work ethic, but, you know, their answer was to pray. And I'm not saying, you know, that's your way of, you know, talking and getting inspiration, that's fine. But for me, I never really felt like that helped me, especially as a kid. You know, I get bullied, and my dad's like, you know, did you pray about it? I'm like, yeah, Dad, I prayed a lot, and they're beating my ass. Like, this isn't fun. And so it just resonated more with me with Alex when he kind of gave me some of that advice. But yeah, that's all in all, like, the experience. I can delve into more detail if you want, but you know, not the proudest moment of my life, but I definitely learned from it, and I'm in a much healthier place now, because I'm not chasing a number that I know I won't feel any different. And that was probably the most pivotal thing, to understand that no matter what number I hit, whether it's $1 billion or 10 billion or $1 trillion, it's never going to be good enough. And I know that every time I hit a new goal, the next thing I go is, what's the next goal? What's the next goal? Yeah. That's just what makes you successful. And you just got to take the good with the bad, and understand part of that edge is what gets you past people, because you're always looking for the next thing.
For sure.
And like, I think, Tanner, it's so funny that you said that, because like two things, right? So the way me and Umar met, literally so similar to your story. So this guy hit me up, he slides in my DMs, and he's like, yo, like, let's film some content. And I was like, yeah, like, fuck this guy, whatever.
Exactly.
A couple years, like, literally, like, word for word, I was like, yeah, like, sure. I told him no, and then he said, okay, it's fine, I'll film the content, I want it, whatever. And like, a couple years later, we're now business partners, right? And another thing that you mentioned, which is so funny, so at the peak of when I guess I made most of my money, is so funny. You had an ex-girlfriend who was on and off, and oh my god, those can literally be the most toxic, craziest things. They're very fun, but very bad as well. And I remember during the peak of the crypto market, when we had the first major crypto crash in 2021, I was talking to Umar, and I'm like, bro, you're married, I need some relationship advice. And while I'm saying this, crypto is really crashing, and Umar's like, dude, our net worth just got wiped out, and you're worried about a girl? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, it's crazy, right? And it just happens. It just happens, right? Like, it's just like one of those things where it's like, it's a lesson, but like, when you're in it, like, when I was in that situation, I was like, holy shit, I felt so bad. Looking back at it now, like, I'm laughing, I'm joking about it, right? But it's very interesting that you said that. And talk to us, like, what about crypto and just investing in general? Are you in that space? Are you into that space? Like,
yeah, no, it's actually funny. So I actually don't. It's ironic. I don't really do anything with crypto, and it's not because I don't think you can hit it big. I think I'm just very risk averse with investments, and so I look at stuff that I know. Okay, if I put this money in there, is it 100% safe? So I'm the guy who will do, you know, the 3, 5, 10% investment. That's 100% guaranteed versus the 20, 30, 40, 50%. Stuff that isn't. And I have some friends who are in crazy stuff like derivatives and all these other foreign exchange currency, and they show me some of the money that is coming in, and it is insane. It's like a business.
Yeah.
They have money, but I just always have that thought in the back of my head of, would my life be worse if I lost everything, or would it be better if I gained an extra, 5, 10 million, 15? And the answer is always, it'd be way worse if I lost it. And so I guess I've just always been more risk averse, because, Warren Buffett even says, it only takes one bad decision to ruin all the good decisions. Something like that. And so, to each their own. I just have always been, man, I don't want all the hard work I put in, me thinking about it wiped out in a single moment. It's more than I think I could take. I just don't think I could take it.
No, I feel that.
Tanner, it's crazy you said that, because literally my mentor was teaching me last night. He's like, live your life with your calculator solving all your problems. And it's so funny you said, where like, you lose that money, would have been like way worse than if you were to like 10x that. And then, like, it's like that's like a simple like it's nice that you literally philosophied that in like real life. But that's so dope.
Well, and it goes with everything because like with Puerto Rico, like I hate I hate bringing out stuff every time, but it's like he just gives me good advice. But he's like, Tanner, when you look back at 80, if you make an extra 100 million, are you gonna be glad you lived here? Any other reason? I'm like, no. And he's like, then why are you living there? Makes no sense.
Sure.
Like, you don't need any more money, so stop living somewhere to save more money. So I think it just goes back to that. And then, FTX is right across the street from me. I can literally see the arena.
Oh shit!
And so with the whole thing with Sam Bankman-Fried,
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? This just was like the nail in the coffin that just told me I was doing the right thing.
God,
that's funny as hell. Imagine.
Yeah, I can see it right across the street. It's got the big FTX sign, and that whole thing, I was just scared me to death.
That's crazy.
Tanner, since we talked about it a couple times, let's just get this over with right now. So
Sure.
You talked about you obviously moving to Puerto Rico. If you don't know why you moved, you're living under a rock. They have really nice tax benefits there, right? Yeah. And I agree with you to the sense where, like, yeah, it might be worth paying tax if you're happy where you're living, but like, for someone like me, for example.
Oh, here we go.
Like, we live in Canada, man. Canada fucking sucks, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it has a great creator ecosystem. There's a lot of money to be made.
Yo, stop lying to Canada, man. Canada does not have a good creator, whatever you just said.
Listen, it has a decent creator ecosystem. There's a lot of money to be made down here, but the weather's like the ultimate thing that sucks, right? Like every guy, I don't care if you're into cars or not, every guy wants to drive a sports car. I love cars, bro. But it's so sad that I could drive my car for less than 4 months out of the year. So, like, yeah, of course I'm trying to leave. Like, I thought about Miami because I heard they had some good corporate taxes. Texas was an option at first, but then I realized I want to be near the water, and that might be a little too dry. And then now, like, I'm actually considering Dubai, right? Or Puerto Rico never came to my mind.
Yeah, Dubai would make more sense to me because I actually could live in Dubai. The only thing is you have to decide, like, are you willing to leave your family? If you are,
yes.
I think Dubai is a much better option than Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico also, I don't know if it would be an option for you because I think it's only for U.S. citizens. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you fall under that?
No.
So you may not be able to do it.
Canadians,
Yeah, you may not be able to do it regardless.
Yeah.
So if you for example, if you move to Puerto Rico and you're not a U.S. citizen, I think you have to pay still pretty basic tax. So
Damn.
Yes.
So for you, if you're cool to move to Dubai and relocate, that to me makes all the sense of the world. If I lived in Europe, I probably would live in Dubai. Dubai is like Miami, in my personal opinion, the way it's set up and just the amount of money there and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, and the reason Andrew Tate says that is just, there's a lot of money down here. There's also a lot of beautiful women. There's definitely a lot of drugs. And so, you can definitely get carried away with that. I haven't been to Romania, so I can't speak to Romania personally, but I can't imagine that stuff isn't there as well. So it just depends what your personality is like. I've never been that very like addictive personality where I've gotten into that stuff. I can go out and celebrate and have a good time, but I've never gotten carried away. So I think it just depends. Like Miami to me is the best because you have water, there's beautiful women if you're single, there's great businesses here, there's great restaurants, there's tons of stuff to do, there's no state income tax. It's close to everything. So, like when I even when I lived in Puerto Rico, it was 2 hours away. So there's a lot of benefits. I don't like California or New York because New York's too cold. California has way crazy taxes and I hate the politics over there.
Yeah.
Florida overall is more conservative and like pro guns and just like, when COVID came through, I wasn't the biggest fan of it and they kind of weren't either. So I think for you, if you were going to move, I personally would recommend Miami for that reason. If you did do Dubai would be great, but you got to be cool moving across the world, So.
Oh, for sure. That was a big thing too, Tanner. Where I'm like, Dubai would have been something down the line, like maybe when I have my own kids one day. But like Miami, for example, is like a 12-hour drive from Toronto. I think the flight's like 4 hours. So even though you'd have to sacrifice your family, kind of like realistically speaking, a 4-hour flight's not going to break the bank if you had to fly once or twice a month.
Yeah,
right? So that was something that's heavily convinced.
Yeah, it would just also like, and I can just hear like Alex in my ear. So what he'll say to you though, what you tell me is he'll just talk about the wasted time on the flight. And so, like for example, the reason I moved back to Miami is I was flying back from Puerto Rico every weekend or every other weekend because it's a 6-month rule, right? So you have to be there 6 months. So what I would do is I spend the weekdays there working, and then I fly back, and it was only a 2-hour flight. But the reality is, at the end of the day, is it was an inconvenience. I wanted to be in Miami, and the only reason I was in Puerto Rico was to save money. And so he said, look, if you took all the time you were flying and just spent it actually working, do you think you can make up the money that you're saving being in Puerto Rico? And then also it's just the prime of your life.
Yeah.
It is, dude. And like, I'll be frank, like Dubai is definitely better than Puerto Rico, so I'm not going to compare it. But Puerto Rico, at the end of the day, it's an island, and once you've been to one island, you've been to all of them.
Oh,
and there's very little things to do. There's just not a ton of stuff. It's kind of old. It's beat up. And the reason that's why there's that rule is because they're trying to move money into the island. So it's not bad. I just think for you personally, you have a lot more fun. Like just moving your whole family in Miami and be done with it versus like going back and forth. That's just like maybe some offhand advice, but
for sure,
maybe worth listening to, I guess.
No, for sure, dude. Because like even when I was down in like Florida and we went to Miami for a couple of days, like the culture is so similar to like Toronto in a sense where like it's obviously different, but like you still feel at home kind of thing, right? Actually, anywhere in the States I've been, I've always felt that. Whereas like when you fly out to like Mexico or a third world country, there's obviously that adjustment period. But let's stop talking about taxes. I know I'm putting a lot of you guys to sleep. Let's talk about something a bit more sexy. Since we got this top sales guy in the house, what do you recommend? Start selling a low ticket item or a high ticket item program?
No, I mean, obviously high ticket. High ticket's what changed the game for me. And the reason it changed is when you're selling a low ticket product. So I was broke. So the only way to sell a low ticket product is social media. I didn't have a big social media following. I also didn't have money for ads. So I'm basically DMing people to buy something for $50, which isn't worth a phone call, which is more effective. So you're messaging people hoping they just click a link. It's just not effective. So once I changed that price point to $1,500, that's where I started. I made one sale. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just made half my income in a month. Then I made 2 sales. I'm like, just made all my income in 2 days. And that's really when things took off. And that's really the only way you'll see businesses blow up. All the bootstrap businesses that sell for a lot are all high ticket. All the ones that sell low ticket are VC backed, which means, it's easy to spend a bunch of money because it's not yours, and basically it's a loan, right, for equity. Yeah. And so, Alex Becker just sold for 110 million hyros. The reason he was able to do it without VC capital is because he's selling $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 up front for a year, and so he was able to self-fund it. And I've seen it over and over again. So unless you do high ticket, you cannot bootstrap. And so if you're a beginning entrepreneur and you have to bootstrap, you literally have to sell high ticket. You have no choice. There's no other way to bootstrap your company.
Interesting. And so if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned at one part of like during COVID, you were selling mainly low ticket. So what are you selling now? So is it low ticket and high ticket, or is it a mix of like
it's one? So the only reason to sell low ticket is when your high ticket ads stop being profitable.
Okay.
And so the goal, so just think of it this way, this is the easy analogy. If you spend $100,000 and you make $200,000 in sales, that's $100,000 profit. But if I spend $100,000 on low ticket and I make $50,000 from the low ticket sales, and then I make another $100,000, well, now I've made $150,000, right? And so now I can push past that barrier. And so that's really the only point of low ticket. If your high ticket is working, you should push that thing until it breaks. And then once it breaks, then you put in the low ticket. But there's really no reason to do low ticket at the beginning because honestly, it's more work, it's more customers, more funnels, more things can break. High ticket's awesome because you just run an ad, they come in, you can message, call them, text them, etc. You get a phone call, beat all the objections that your shitty sales funnel can't do, and then close them. and I've never had good funnels. I mean, ClickFunnels gives me all the awards, and like all my funnels are not that great. They're just pretty basic, and like book them all, and then we close them. But that's kind of my opinion with high ticket. Low ticket is just to, liquidate some of that ad spend when you no longer can push the envelope. And it happens to everyone because eventually you go so broad that you're starting to get leads that don't fit your offer. And that's when you got to start going more low ticket.
And so in that case, what do you think about like those like community things where like people pay like a recurring, like whether that's like $9.99 or like $49.99? Like, what do you think about those like membership offers? What do you think about those?
So, I mean, I'll first start by saying there's always an anomaly, right? So I'm always speaking to the stereotype, to the majority, so I'm sure there's anomalies, but I think of those as the only way you can blow those up and make them very profitable without a ton of ads is typically either A, they have a back-end model, so they bring them into subscription, they're like, oh, by the way, buy this, buy that, right? Or two, they have a massive following like Logan Paul or Kim Kardashian, so they don't need paid ads. So everything that comes through is pure profit. So it's one of those two things typically. Even B-Shred, I don't know what he's pushing now, but I've heard they're getting close to 200-300 million, like crazy numbers. And what they do is they sell the low ticket on the front end, but then they upsell the supplements and the higher end programs. And so it's this ascension model, which is usually what they're actually doing.
Right.
So it can work, but it has to be a very broad market, aka fat loss, or hey, you want to make an extra $800 a month or stuff like that. It usually doesn't work for business owners because there's just not many of us, honestly. There's not that many people like us who want to own businesses because it's hard.
Interesting. And so I guess, touching on that, do you think, because Russell Brunson says in Expert Secrets, he says everyone has something that they can teach or sell. So do you believe that? Do you think everyone should have a course or a program?
I mean, I think everyone should try. I do think there's some people they're not that good and they won't succeed.
Yeah.
That's truth. That's just reality. I always looked at myself as I would do anything it would take, and I've gone through enough things to know that was true. And I know I'm crazy enough that most of the things I did, most people are not willing to do. So I think if someone is willing to do the work and do, something for an unreasonable amount of time, they can be successful. But the reality from me, just having, I've had 20,000 plus clients, low ticket, high ticket, one-to-one clients, and my best clients, the absolute best, the ones who just go on and crush, and those are the clients you're like, oh, I got that client to that level, and it was all them.
Yeah,
they're just insanely hard workers, and they're so open to feedback. Like the worst clients are not open to feedback, and they get the worst results. My top clients are so open to feedback, and they just push like hell. And just most people, they don't want to do that. They want to have the business that pays for everything that they barely have to contribute to. And the reality is, I spent 16 hours a day for a year before I even got to breathe. And I mean, I sacrificed my health, I sacrificed relationships, I sacrificed social time, I sacrificed girls. And most of these people, they won't sacrifice Netflix. They won't sacrifice anything.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. And I wish I could say it's different, but there's a reason there's a 1% and there's everyone else, because most people are not willing to do it. And that may sound cliche, but I just personally believe that from my personal journey. And I've also talked to, in the last 2-3 months, I've probably had 25, 30 conversations with 9 or 10 figure net worth individuals. And I leave the calls, and I'll be honest, either A, they tell me I'm super smart, and I'm like, really? Or two, I don't get the impression that they were that much smarter. Don't get me wrong, like, they're smart, but you don't get this impression, wow, like, that guy is so much smarter than me. That girl is so much smarter than me. How can I'll never amount to them. You just leave and go, like, okay, I could do that. And I just think the reality is most people are capable. They're just not willing to do the work. That may be unpopular, but that's my personal opinion.
100%. I want to add to that, Tanner. It's crazy. So the past 4 or 5 months, I've been really taking my fitness serious, because to build some of my businesses, I had to let the gym go. Just being married, and it just had to go. So I've been putting that aside, and now I've been taking it serious. I'm making time for it. If I have to sacrifice a little bit of sleep, I'll make it happen. I'll get my ass in the gym. But this is a crazy video I saw on, I think it was Instagram a couple of days ago, where in the United States, you statistically have a higher chance of becoming a millionaire than having a set of six-pack abs.
No
and that
way.
blew my mind. Yeah. So in the United States, I bet it might even be North America, dude. But they're in the U.S. and so in the U.S. is basically saying there's a better chance you'll be a millionaire than be in shape.
That's insane.
So, it's mind blowing, right? And the thing that got me going is I'm like, damn. So low key, if you could figure out to cut out the carb, adjust your diet, start working out, and you could go from being a fat person or a skinny person to a muscular dream physique of yours, you could probably apply that to a lot of things in life. And that's the reason why I started taking fitness so serious. I'm like, you know what? I gotta get rid of the bitch voice in my head who doesn't want to run on the treadmill, who doesn't want to lift weights, who's feeling sore, because that same bitch voice is gonna stop me from progressing my own business, right? Yeah. And it's crazy you said that, especially because you being a D1 athlete, you're literally from Texas where football's in your blood and veins, right? Yeah. And you went on to pursue that, right? You said they're bullying you at school, and you're like, fuck these guys. I'm going to gym at 5 a.m. in the morning, right? So I feel do you think some of those skills translated over?
Yeah, 100%. And I will say, in the same token, you'll see people who are not in shape who are super wealthy, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Guys in shape who. So
sure.
I don't think it's 100% correlates, right? 100%.
Yes.
But what I because and here's why, because what you'll see is some of these gym rats, they love working out. They want to take their shirt off and everyone look at their biceps and touch them. Some of these guys who do business, they're like, oh man, I don't care about that at all. So it's actually harder for those guys to go. But I will say the discipline and the mindset and the mentality does help. And I think the biggest thing is controlling your diet, because especially in Miami, I don't say this, you could go to the gym every day and eat like shit and still look better than 90% of the population.
Yeah.
And I believe that because even now, I don't look near what I did when I was like modeling and doing that stuff. But I'll go out and say, man, like, it's not like being out of shape. It's like, or like just chubby. It's like you're out of shape. Like you're in really bad shape. But it's because of the food, because, you know, it takes, you know, hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours to work out. But you can ruin it in one meal just by throwing down 2 cheeseburgers or a whole pizza, whatever. Yeah. And so it's not to be scared of food, but I think it just mentally, you have to have a little bit more tenacity or discipline to stick with that versus just doing business. You know, you don't have to deal with that. It's like, hey, if I get up and work every day and I, you know, eat a whole pizza, I can do the same amount of work if I don't eat it all. But I definitely think it translates over. And that's part of why I kept sticking with business, because it actually felt easier. I mean, mentally it's harder. Yeah. But I was like, man, if I can go do 2-a-days and, you know, do all this lifting and training and football and study film and all these types of things, this should be a cakewalk. And it's also that athlete mentality where you just never want to be the quitter or the guy who kind of bitches out, like you said. Yeah. So I do think some of that transferred over, because I will say some people, they've never done anything hard in their life. And I don't know why that is, or why their parents haven't done that, but they've never had to work. They've never had to do chores. They've never done any like instruments or plays or piano or art or anything. And so then they become an adult and they're expected to go and suddenly have this great work ethic, and their parents have kind of hindered them. The benefit I think I have with my dad is I remember I came home from football and I was crying. And this was in 6th grade when I was still being bullied. And I just said, Dad, like, all the guys are mean to me, and, like, you know, they're making fun of me and they're pushing me when the coaches aren't looking. And he goes, it was like, look, dude, I mean, I can't protect you at practice, so, like, you either have to face these guys or you should just quit. And it kind of just registered in my head as a kid. I go, man, my dad can't protect me. But that was one of the best things he ever did, because from that day forward, it was always about, I can do whatever I want, but I have to kind of go get it myself, and my parents can't save me. Yeah. And I think...
have you noticed, and I think we all have noticed this, everyone now is just a pussy. Like...
Oh, for sure.
For no reason.
Not everyone, but most people.
Word, or they're all immigrants. Like, all the immigrants are some of the highest level people I talk to, because they actually had to come to America and their parents didn't speak English, and they had to learn it on they had to go through hard stuff. And I just think if you don't learn that at a young age, you're at a massive disadvantage now. Because as an adult, no one gives a shit, and you just have the sob story you tell yourself, and everyone's like, cool, dude, like, we don't care, good luck. And my parents really just taught me at a young age. You know, my dad even said it. I was like, I'm going to drop out of school. He's like, cool. You know, make sure you take care of yourself. Like, I'm not going to help you. You know, like, you want to stay at the house, cool. But other than that, you're on your own. Or when I wanted to go to college, he said, you better make sure you get a scholarship. You know, that's just how my parents were. But it was one of the best things for me. I was really resentful at the time, because my friends would get cars and birthdays, and, you know, they're going and buying, you know, all kinds of stuff. And I'm just going, man, my dad won't give me anything. But it was one of the best things he ever could have done for me.
Oh, for sure.
No, that's really good, man. And, okay, so I guess to kind of add to that, so we all know, like, the reason we ask about people's past on the podcast is because we all know that, like, everyone comes from something, and it's usually lessons as a child that kind of carry through in your adult life, right? And whether that's from the subconscious mind, we don't need to get too deep into that, or whether it's just, like, lessons and things you've seen. If you had to, let's just say, for example, start from absolutely zero, right? So $0, but you have everything, all your knowledge and all your experience, what would you do now to get to a level of success?
I mean, I'd probably follow some of the same frameworks. I would just build my team a lot faster. I know what to look for. I'd run ads a lot sooner. I would just know, I'd skip a lot of the mistakes, but I would probably do the same things I did now to build that initial wealth. And then, you know, as I'm moving into my next phase, quote unquote, that answer could change in the next 5 years, but just based on what I know now, it wouldn't make any sense to try to go start something different. I would just do exactly the same thing, build it to the same level, and then go from there. And I think that's why, you know, billionaires or people who lose all their wealth can get back there so fast, because they got there once. You just do the same thing again. Yeah. So I would do the same stuff, just do it a little bit faster, a little more efficient, and then build off from there, because, you know, you don't have any money. Your choices are a little bit limited.
Tanner, I 100% agree with that. It's crazy, because a couple months ago I finished reading one of Donald Trump's books, and he literally said that word for word, where it's like, and that was like literally the pitfall I had in my business. Is like, it was going so well until I stopped doing the thing that was making it do so well, and I'm like, why is it all burning? Like, why did it all crumble? And when I read that in the book, where it's like, because he had this, like, he went to crazy debt and had to rebuild everything from scratch. And like what he said was like more or less like just do more of like what actually worked, right? And it's crazy how sometimes like the most important philosophies and rules in life are the simplest, right? Just do what works, period, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think people want to overcomplicate because it sounds sexier. It doesn't really sound sexy to, hey, let's run this boring business for the next years to become billionaires. But it's just proven over and over again. I've seen it that now that I'm in this 5-year mark where I'm at my first 5 years of business, I'm starting to see all these patterns that I didn't notice before because I was going through it. And I'm starting to see people are changing stuff so fast and they're not sticking with things. They're not trying to build something great. And even my company now, it's gotten more competitive. It's actually very competitive. I don't know what I was thinking, but when I got in the marketplace for coaching, I didn't think it was that competitive for some reason. And now I feel like everyone is in it to some extent. But we've done it for so long now, 5 years, where I'm going, hey, if we stick with this for another 5 years, we're going to just be so far ahead in product and marketing and operations and just management than these companies at 1 or 2 years. And I think if people can kind of have that mindset, you're much better off for it. And it's funny too, because I've looked into selling the company and I've talked to people who've sold, and selling really isn't always as sexy as it sounds, because by the time you sell and you pay the broker fees and the taxes and your company and your team members and all these things, you're not really left with that much. And then you don't have that cash flow coming in anymore. So sometimes it's even better to just build this beast, let the beast keep running without you, and then you can use that cash flow for your next kind of quote unquote bigger or better things. And so that's kind of the mindset I'm at right now after, just looking deeper into it, because it really depends unless you really just want to get it off your plate or get bandwidth back.
No, for sure. That is super dope, dude. I love how everything you're saying is just so congruent with what you've done in the past. Like even your other businesses, instead of you just selling them and pawning them off, you kept them around and focusing on your next business. I think you posted on one of your YouTube videos I don't know if it was days or weeks back, that you might actually be also stepping away from elite CEOs to start something new. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So I did that 2 days ago. I'm out as CEO. I'll still advise and I'll be like a board member, but I officially handed the reins off to Benson, he's one of my brothers who's been with me since day one, and it just gives me that bandwidth back, because a lot of what you do as CEO at the highest levels is you're basically damage control or quality assurance. You're just hopping on calls with the managers like, hey, what's this? And you're working through ideas and frameworks with your team. And so really it was handing that off. And the reason is I just have aspirations to hit 9 or 10 figures. Something bigger, I guess you could say. And it's not about the money. It's just I want to push myself. And I just know internet marketing is somewhat limited in how big it can get. And so I just need a better vehicle.
No, I was going to talk about, because we already talked about mentors. We even talked about you bumping shoulders with some bigger influencers in the space, like Alex. It's crazy to talk about Alex. Like I haven't had a moment to fanboy real quick, but like the amount of hours I watched and studied of Alex Hormozi is absolutely insane. And now I'm sitting with one of his friends, which is pretty dope. But talk to me a little bit about that. Like how did, and in this case, Alex actually reached out to you. What other influencers in the space, like have you like, I don't want to say collab, but like bumped shoulders with, had some quality conversations with, that kind of helped you grow in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think David Fry, my first mentor, was very influential. I think Alex is probably up there just because, again, he's my age. He's gone through some of the stuff that I felt he could relate to. I feel like he's really wise for his years. The things he says and his perspective of how he thinks, I think, is very high level, and I think it's part of why he's done so well as he started building his brand. I mean, he's gone hyperbolic. I mean, he had a video I think he put out the other day that's already got 1 million views in 6 days. And so just the way he thinks about things and kind of how he views the world through his lens, I think is very unique. And sometimes, just thinks very deeply. It's almost, when you ask someone a question quickly and it's rapid fire, he gives you that answer that he's thought about it for, 3 months almost. But it's on the spot. And maybe he has. Maybe that's why his answers are so good. It just feels like he's done it for a long time. Outside of that, I don't know if there's anyone like insanely influential in terms of like what they pushed me to do. I have had a lot of conversations recently with like Paul Orfalea, I think I said his name right. He sold Kinko's for a couple billion. And I talked to, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head right now, but he sold Byte for $1 billion. I talked to Kim Perrell, who actually lives in Miami. She sold a company for 100 and 250 million. So I wouldn't say there's anyone who has been as influential as that, but just in terms of thinking how they process information and how they make money, a lot of it ironically is funny because I don't think they're working all that hard or harder. They just have a better vehicle. And that's been frustrating / cool to see, because I actually think what I've done, it's funny when you talk to them, learning internet marketing is actually insanely valuable in terms of the skill. They look at the business as kind of shitty. They look at it as like, oh, it's not a real business. It's kind of scammy and stuff like that. But they look at you as like a legit operation person. So like you could come in and be COO. And that's what's funny, because a lot of these founders who go to these venture capitalists, they're clueless. So they looked at me and said, man, if you came up with an idea where you actually need a VC backing, I bet you could get a ton, because you actually understand, you know, cost of acquisition and marketing and ads and all these things that most of these founders don't understand. So, you know, that's been an interesting perspective. It's also been interesting, I think, to understand that a lot of these big companies, they make zero profit. And so in our stratosphere, it's all about how much profit you make. In theirs, they make no profit, but they get these insane valuations. So it's just a different game. And it's like hot potato, where basically the last person to buy, you know, loses almost, quote unquote, and then they win. And so for lack of a better example, it almost feels like NFTs a little bit to me, where I go, so this business makes $0. It's burning $2 million cash per month. Mine makes way more profitable, but yours is valued at more than mine. Like, yes, that's correct. Okay, I truly don't understand this, but it's truly just a different game. It's like apples and oranges. So that's been very fascinating for me to look at and kind of see. But it's also crazy, because if you were even to become a venture capitalist or angel investor and you hit the right business, the amount of money they make when it sells is astronomical. I mean, some of these numbers are 10,000x, 100,000x, 15,000x, because if you put in, let's say, 10,000 and you get 7% of a company that sells for 15 billion, you know, you'll cash out 9 figures and call it a day. It's actually crazy. It's actually really crazy.
It's insane. But we talked about mentors. We talked about networking. Are you, like, at this point, do you do any personal development stuff? Like, are you past that point? Like, what's it like now?
I wouldn't say I'm past that point. I think it's funny, because me and my brother, like, we did a podcast the other day, and one of my brothers is a huge advocate for like therapy and stuff like that. I'm actually kind of the opposite direction, where I just didn't feel it was as helpful for me. I guess you could say I have more of a nihilist mindset, for better or worse. And so where I, instead of kind of thinking, well, why is this happening and why do I feel this way and how do I fix it? I just say, that's an interesting thought. And I move on kind of with my day. And that personally works better for me, because instead of wondering why I feel that way, I just kind of go, like, I don't feel good right now. You know, that's okay. I don't always have to feel good. And, you know, again, some people will argue with that mentality, but that's what's been helpful for me. And so that's what I kind of push, because everything else I tried in the past, I felt not only did I waste a bunch of time on it, but I didn't really get the answer I was looking for, come to a conclusion. And so I felt like it was all this wasted time over nothing, where I could have just spent that time on something else and just kind of push through it. And to that point, I think that's part of why I was successful, because when I didn't want to do stuff, or I didn't feel good, or I didn't have energy, I just said, you got to fucking do it anyways. You got to fucking do it. Doesn't matter how you feel. And I think too many people worry about how they feel, which I don't want to take that in a negative way. Like, if therapy is helpful for you and that's your thing, awesome. But I think you do see a lot of people go way too far the other direction, where, well, I don't feel good, or I'm sick, or, you know, I'm hungry. And I just don't, I'm like, so what? Like, you got all these things you got to do. Like, you got to get shit done. And so I guess like, I'm not against it. Like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, personal development, but I'm probably not like the best advocate to like push like a personal development ad.
That was so funny. It's like what Andrew Tate says. You just get a coffee, cigarette, boom, back in the game.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's right for everyone, but I think that mindset is a little bit easier and more simplistic. And, you know, I don't know, like, I think going to therapy can get very complex, and you got to work through all these things. And again, that may sound bad how I'm phrasing it. I might not be phrasing it perfectly, but I just felt when I went to therapy, it's just like I was going in circles. I wasn't really getting answers. I felt like I was wasting a bunch of time. And so, to each their own, but to me, it's just been more helpful to go, hey, like, this is how things are. I may not understand 100%. That's okay. I don't need to understand 100%. Here's what I like to do. I'm really good at it. I don't need to, like, you know, it doesn't need to be more than you just enjoy it more times than not. And if you don't feel good, it just, hey, it doesn't matter. You don't feel good, get up and do it anyways. And I just take a lot of pride in doing what I'm supposed to do no matter what. And I think that attitude really can get people to a higher level than constantly worrying about how they feel and what their energy is. And I just think it's a better mindset personally. It's like stronger mindset. But
Yeah, and Tanner, what about reading at all? Do you do any readings?
yeah, so I definitely going to be reading more now as I stepped out. So I'm about to start a trip. I actually wasn't going to do it, but I had 12. I'd say 50% of the people I spoke to brought it up without me asking. So they said, "You're stepping out of your company. Take a trip. Take a trip. 2 months, 3 months." I had one guy say, "Take a year." I was like, "A year? Take a year." And they just said that the amount of ideas and creativity you'll get will just be astronomical because they said I'm so used to doing that I haven't actually ever like had time to think. And so I will be doing some more reading, but I don't know if like trying to read as many books as possible is the best way to go. I think a lot of times people don't go very deep, and so if you can find a couple good books and go really deep on those, that's usually better. So one of my favorite things to do is I'll actually listen to audiobooks at the gym, and then the best ones I'll reread and listen and read it at the same time. And then the ones that suck, I turn them off, or I just never read them. I just listen, and so I get through it a lot faster because I can listen at 2x or 1.5 speed. That's kind of like my like hack. But I do like reading. I just am a little bit more picky about what I read, or I don't read quite as much because you get caught in the information without implementation game. And I think you know if everyone actually implemented what they got in books, I think a lot more people would be rich. So I think it's just being more selective about what you read.
Your boy Alex says it best, right? A lot of people just end up just reading, and it just becomes a source of entertainment rather than them actually taking action, right?
Or just feeling like they're being productive. I think people do things that they feel like they're being productive. Like, let me take a sales call with someone that I know I'm not going to buy, but let me just hear them out. Or things like that that are super non-productive and a waste of time. So I just think as long as there's a reason behind what you're doing, or it's actually productive, it's a good thing. And I think that's part of why it's funny. One of the venture capitalists I was talking to yesterday, he's like, "You read this book?" And it was actually Alex's book. And it was funny because the reason his book was so good is it was so actionable and it was so short and it was so concise. And his writing process right now is absolutely insane. Like he'll tell me about how many drafts he's doing and like going through. And I mean he's double digits just going through it over and over again. But that's what makes the book so good because it's short, concise, to the point, has actionable steps. And most books, it's just a bunch of fluff. When I get to the end, I go, so I need to be motivated. I need to work hard, but what the hell do I do? Like I get to that point, and it's just like kind of a bunch of motivational stuff that it doesn't really help me because I need actionable steps. I think that's part of why that book was so good, and his other books are going to be so good. I mean, anyways, it was pretty impressive to see.
That's good. I think if you guys know Naval Ravikant, what he said is instead of reading a bunch of books, it's best to the best books are the ones that you reread over and over and over again. And every single time you read a book, you get something new out of it that you didn't realize the first time, or you're at a different stage in life. So you look and you're like, oh shit, like that really applies to me now, right? So I think it's cool. And also like back to what you said before, like with the whole acknowledging that you feel sad. Like if you've read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, he also mentions like if you're feeling depressed or sad, instead of lingering on it and letting it consume you, just acknowledge it and just let it pass. And how do you get better at that? Because that is a skill, and some people don't even understand that you can do it, let alone do it consistently and very well. So how do you go about that?
Well, I mean, the slowest way is experience, right? I mean, you just let it happen, and then over time, you get better at stuff. I think, especially breakups and business struggles and things like that. That initially they stress you, but then they've happened a couple times, and you go, okay, like I've been through this before. I know this is gonna feel. I can go through it. Um, Other than that, I think it's just like understanding that human feelings come and go, and they're very fleeting. And so, part of why, winning or enjoying life is so great is because you have those bad moments. And so sometimes, at least the thought I have is when I'm going through bad stuff, I just understand that this is going to make my good times that much more memorable and appreciate it that much more. But it's just part of life, and it's like you're human, right? You're gonna feel bad. You're not gonna feel great all the time. Bad things will happen to you. There not might not always be a reason, and I just think understanding that is a lot more beneficial than just looking around every nook and cranny and rock to try to come up with a reason why this happened to you. It's like, I mean, it just did, and you can move past it. Um, anyways, that's just my mindset. It might be
No,
unpopular.
no, that's good, man. I'm glad that we're getting like this like philosophical side out of you too. 'Cause I feel like it not a lot of people talk about it, and I feel like a lot of people talk about like, hey, like let's make money, and like people understand when people say with money, like what is it like money brings problems? Whatever that saying is, right? Like it's so yeah, more money, more problems. I'm fucking stupid or something. I don't know, but like it's very true, right? And I guess moving on because like we only have a limited time here, so we want to talk about some actionable things, right? So Tanner, in your opinion, what is the best way to learn sales?
Oh, door-to-door sales, no doubt. If you can quit your job, if you can quit your job, or you can even go do it part-time, you do door-to-door sales for 3 months, you'll be better than 99% of people. I was so good when I left door-to-door sales that when I started doing online, I thought it was hilarious. I would like call my mom. I go, I'm sitting in my underwear, closing three, four, $5,000 deals, and I was getting five. I was fighting people for 49.99 their house with a check for a freaking alarm in like a super high crime neighborhood. I'm like, guys, it's $50. Like, get it. You would think it'd be so easy. They would just fight you tooth and nail. And so once I got past that, it was a lot easier because door to door, there's probably 20, 25 objections. And I'm telling you, when I say 20, 25 objections, some of the stuff they say, you just couldn't believe. Fish died. Like, oh, I didn't know you were coming. I have a gun. I have a dog. I have a cat. Like just crazy stuff that you're just not prepared for. When you get on phone calls, it's really like price, spouse, need to think about it. That's really it. And then if it's not one of those three, it's really belief. So once you get it narrowed down, you have your rebuttals in front of you. It's actually pretty easy. So a door-to-door sales for sure.
Dude, you're saying how like you're walking around basically in these high crime neighborhoods. Can you just tell us a crazy story, man? It doesn't have to be long. Just something that fucking.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. Okay, so this was the craziest one for sure. So I just sold this gentleman's neighbor, and I walked over to his house. And so part of what we do when we knock on the door is we bring up referrals. And so I don't remember his name, but I brought up his door. I rang it on his door, and said, hey, my name's Tanner. I'm with the crime prevention unit in the area. We're just going around to all the houses. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the crime on the TV. I would always do this. I'm like, you see all the crime? They'd always be like, exactly. And I said, so Larry down the street, he actually told me about you. He just bought an alarm for me, and the guy just went off his rocker and said, he did what? And I was like, well, I don't know what just happened, but the guy started coming at me, and he had a knife, and I said, dude, look, like I'm leaving right now. I start walking off his property all the way to the sidewalk, and then once I get to the property, he calms down. He lets me back in the house. I resell him. The technicians, what they do as soon as you sell them, they try to roll up and drill it in the hole or the holes in the wall before they change their mind. He gets there and the guy won't let him in. So then I think I lose the deal. We reschedule it, and usually when you reschedule, the chance the deal goes in, right? It's like a high ticket phone sale, it's 0. We reschedule it. The guy isn't there when the technician shows up. He calls me in a voicemail, cusses me out. Then 2 hours later, the technician somehow gets in, puts it in, and I'm just sitting there like, what just happened with this guy? It was almost like bipolar, but that was probably one of the craziest. The only other one besides that was when a guy pulled a gun on me, but it was just pretty basic. It was just like he pulled the gun on me and that was it. But the fact that this guy pulled the knife, let me back in the house, called me and cussed me out, and like said thank you. It was.
I don't know how the hell you went back in the
bizarre.
house, bro.
Bro, when you're desperate, I mean, because the money, I'm just so, you have to understand, I'm almost 2 years into building a business. I'm broke as shit. I'm telling myself, I have to figure this out. And so when I tell you I was willing to do anything, I was willing to do anything. And that was just part of what I had to do. I said, I'll do whatever I have to do to make sales and get deals. And it was one of the most miserable experiences of my life though, because it's 100 degrees. You're in a very high crime neighborhood. It's 8 to 10 hours a day, including drive time. 6 days a week. It was a very thankless job, and it's 100% commission. So if you don't make any sales that day, you don't get paid.
Sure.
Damn, that's funny. Yeah, that was a good TikTok clip, bro.
Tanner, obviously you're a man. You're the $50 million man. Answer this question, man. A question you must have heard before. Does money buy happiness?
Yeah, I think it does, but it's to what extent? So here's like a great way to look at it, and because I've thought about this a lot. So when people say, "Does money make you happy?" There's really only two things, in my opinion, that are above that, right? So you pretty much got, friends and family, right? And then obviously, like, I guess you could say, like your well-being or like your aspirations, stuff like that. And then it's going to be money. And so like a great example of that was I paid, like, this is a great example. I paid for a New Year's Eve table for my girlfriend's family. And they came down and it was an extremely expensive table. Like, I'm not even going to tell you how much it cost. But just like, I'm telling you in the moment, it was Khalid and Marshmallow. We were first row, as close as you could get. And they just were having the absolute time of their lives. And I'm telling you, like, if I got on a different table farther in the back or like just nosebleeds, they just wouldn't have had that. And so I don't think money's the only thing to make you happy, but I do think it's like third or fourth on the list. And so when people say it doesn't make you happy, I don't think that's accurate, because the reason you don't travel is because you can't afford it. The reason you don't buy that dinner is you can't afford it. The reason you don't get the cards, you can't afford it. And so, like, I'm about to travel. We're looking at safaris. They want me to pay $40,000 per 2 people. And I'm going, I mean, I'm rich. And I'm going, man, that's a lot. I'm like, that's what some people make in a year, right? So I just think the reality is that for money is not everything, but I definitely think it's number 3 or 4 on the list. And that's kind of maybe what more people don't talk about, because if I didn't have money, I wouldn't be able to do that. That experience is definitely something we're always going to remember. And so I don't think it's the things, but I definitely think the experiences you can buy with it, that definitely is worth it.
Sure,
Okay,
for sure.
yeah.
And then right before we jump into the rapid fire round, I want to ask, man, what's the most expensive thing you bought in the past 12 months?
Past 12 months. You know, unfortunately, I hate to say it. Well, no. I mean, unless you count investments.
Nah, not
like
investments.
No, something sexy,
stupid. Something that like you're like, why did I buy this? Yeah.
It's probably that fucking table, dude. I hate to say it. It was super expensive. It was like 30 grand. It was super fucking expensive. Yeah. But it was like 15 people, front row, clean and Marshmallow. I'm telling you, you should have seen it though, because the guy's like, Khalid is, you know, pointing at my girlfriend like, oh, I like you. And she's like, oh my gosh. And like, her family's like, I don't care personally though, because she's very good looking and stuff. So I don't get jealous. So I'm just like, yeah, dude, whatever. He's on stage, and as long as you stay on the stage, say whatever you want. But they like, it was just a magical moment, because they're so happy and they're so excited, they're smiling so much that like it was worth it. It was worth it, because otherwise I probably would have spent that much. I mean, I could have spent it better. But I just feel too, like, I spend less than 10% of what I make, and I'm like, look, like, I'll do this, it's stupid, but it's like, I was also celebrating stepping out of the business, so occasionally you gotta do something stupid, you know?
What about, like, sorry, bro, like, what about, like, toys or something like, because that's not that stupid, that's kind of cool, that's lifestyle, man, you taking care of your family, you can't put a tag on family, but, like, something that, like, more, like, not selfish, but, like, something for you.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's funny. I just don't really like things. The most expensive thing I bought was a Lamborghini, but I realized for me, after 6 months, and probably for most people, after 6 months, whatever you bought, you almost have to replace it. So it was a Lamborghini, but that was a long time ago. So to be fair, really, besides like dinners and going out and getting a couple tables, I pretty much don't spend my money. And so it's funny, my life's a lot better for it. So I really spend it more on like trips, and like my dad loves to hunt. My dad it's actually weird how excited he gets about it. Like he'll like be looking and he's making noise. I'm like, Dad, like, what are you looking at? He's like, oh wow, look at this elk. All right, Dad. He's like, look at these antlers. I mean, I wish I could show you a video, but just stuff like that. So there's nothing crazy I've spent it on. I put you know, most of my money into big investments, because I'm really trying to create, you know, a 7-figure passive income type lifestyle. So I wish I could give you a better answer, but I just don't really spend that much stupid stuff.
No, that's good, man. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad spent $100,000 on elk, though. I'm telling you, it's weird.
Dude, that is so dope. I hope a lot of people take that away, that, like, don't put all your happiness in material possessions. Like, no matter how much money you have, like, it's probably way more cooler that you took your family out for that crazy dinner, that crazy table, than if you were to buy like a $30,000 Rolex, which, I mean, would sit on your wrist or in a closet.
It's funny too because most of the times, like, working out at the gym, you get more praise from guys, not girls. Girls don't really care. Guys care. The watch, guys care. Girls don't care. All girls care about is if you have money. If you have money, they don't care if you Uber or not. They don't care if you have a car or not. Like, I don't even have cars anymore. I sold all of them. They don't really care. They're just like, hey, as long as you got money, because they want to be taken care of. I think more times it's guys who are like, dude, sick Lamborghini. Yeah, and you're like you're impressing these guys, but ultimately it's like who cares? So if you enjoy it, like if you enjoy Lamborghinis, if you enjoy Rolex, by all means do it. I just realized for me that I'd buy it and it was fun for 6 months. Then I'm like, man, I got this liability that I'm constantly stressed out about. When I park it, it was a pain in the ass. I'd scrape at the rims, the valet would mess it up. And so for me, I think renting is the way to go. I don't know if I'm ever going to own anything again. I really like renting.
Fucking dope.
So-
All right, let's jump into the rapid fire round, man. I really want to emphasize, bro. Thank you so much for your time, bro. Thank you for your just candidness, man. Every question we ask has just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So this is a rapid fire round.
Fun.
We're just gonna say a word, and you'll just say the first thought that comes to your head.
Yeah, so the rule is you have to answer with like one word.
So the first word on the list is money.
Need it? Necessity?
Okay. Marketing.
Ads?
Ooh.
Sales.
Door to door?
Fitness.
Or phone? Abs?
Hustle.
Grind?
Ooh. Entrepreneurship.
Wealth?
Social media.
Distracting?
Online coaching.
Funny.
Failure.
Perseverance.
Ooh.
Dope.
Success.
Goals.
Ooh.
Okay, and the last one, the online guru space.
Joke.
Dude, we need to get
love it.
Tanner on one time. We just need to like start roasting and exposing all the gurus out here. That'd be fun.
Yeah, dude.
Well, it's funny, man, because like when I mean, it like it's just an interesting space because like on one side, it's cool because everyone can get in it, and I think that's what makes it kind of cool. On the other side, the bad thing is everyone can get in it, and then it's like no matter what you do, especially when you get big, like no matter what you do, you can't make everyone happy, and that's like the hardest thing with service based because with tech. Like Stripe, it's pretty hard to piss someone off. It's like it just takes payment. But like with service, you get clients from skill 100 to 0, and then if it goes wrong, it's your fault. And if it goes right, it's them.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a thankless job sometimes. And then you got like those YouTube channels who just like talk shit about people, and then I don't know. It's like it's very interesting space.
Yeah.
It's very interesting space. Like I'm glad for it, but that's also part of like why I want to move on to the next thing because it's just like sometimes it just gets like old.
Yeah.
It was a blast of conversation. I'm really looking forward to what your next thing is going to be. We're going to be watching, and I hope you have fun on that safari, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping I don't get eaten. For 40 grand, I shouldn't.
God, I hope not. I hope you're sitting next to Kim Kardashian too, bro. For 40 grand. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you check out all of the helpful links I will put in the description below, and make sure you check out StockPick.